All right, let me give something a shot here. There has been a lot of questions and confusion, controversy at times since COVID has began. And I'm not talking about the mask, the shots, the 6 foot, things like that. Um, a lot of people have connected COVID and other things to, oh, wow, now we're in that book of Revelation. Oh my gosh, the COVID pandemic is part of the, there's the bowls and things and the judgments and the trumpets and all these things in Revelation you read about or should. So everybody's connecting dots that really aren't connectable. In fact, if you go to YouTube under Doug Allen, I have a post that is called Matthew, not Revelation. I believe that's the title of it, which would bring this out a little bit more. And let me tell you, I am not an end times expert, but the problem is there are too many people, and these are church people that are guessing, assuming, without going to the source, which is, of course, the Bible. They will hear what a friend says or some speculation, maybe on Facebook, maybe on YouTube, or maybe they follow somebody and they've got everything connected in it. This is what we are in Revelation. Where's the Antichrist and where? Look, first of all, the vaccine. It is not the mark of the beast. Okay. Now I saw over in, and forgive me if this is the wrong country, but one of the European countries, and I want to say Sweden, because a lot of those countries over there are already using the chip technology. Okay. And now to verify that you've gotten the vaccine, other than carrying a card around, because who wants to do that all the time, right? Now they've got a chip that will verify. Oh, yes, it goes in the right hand. And let me point this out too about Revelation, because John was writing the visions he saw were from a first century viewpoint. Okay, things he saw, he couldn't put in 21st, 22nd century terms or whatever, because it was out there. I was thinking last night, I was watching a program where they're doing some teaching on the very book of Revelation, and they were in the 13th chapter, if you want to go there, but don't just start in the middle and then go one way or the other, because you'll have to go back to Jeremiah and Daniel and Ezekiel and some other places, Luke and Matthew 24 especially, to put this all together. And the dots connect biblically, just not humanly. And it does talk about worshiping the image of the beast. Now, in John's day, they did not have this little item. Okay, in New York City, there's that big screen downtown. People can see the commercials and so he may have been seeing future, because Revelation's future, right? And we're closer there than he was. And depending on your viewpoint, it's exciting times or it's dreadful times. Depends on if you're ready or not. So he may have seen somebody just looking at simply a picture, or there was a projection of somebody on a TV, on a computer, on a cell phone. That's the image. He saw the image of the beast. But it's some have tried to say, is it a statue? It is a robot? Is it what is it? Or is it AI, the artificial? And those things aren't really worth. Those are kind of interesting to consider, but not worth the time. So people have tried to say we are in. Okay, Revelation. No, we are in, at best, Matthew. Matthew 24 tells you about, let me put this simply. And here's what I would say, because a lot of people are so confused about it, and sadly, church people, because they attend churches, most of these are politically correct social clubs, seeker sensitive coffee hours and stage lights and glitter and all the good stuff now instead of what they should be doing. So people are unaware of the basics of the gospel, of course, but they're unaware of anything that's end time related because it's not being preached at church, it's not being taught at church. But as I've said before, this is Alicia's first Bible. She picked it out. I think we were at a bookstore up in Akron or Canton. Maybe this came from New Beginnings over in Zanesville, but this was Alicia's. The problem is, people, if you pick this up, I love what Mark Lowry said one time. He said, don't take my word for it because I have an 800 number. Read it for yourself. So many people refuse to not read it for themselves. Well, if the pastor's not telling me about it, it must not be important. There are 7 words nobody wants to hear. Depart from me, I never knew you. And those are words directed at people that have been in church. In fact, it says, I did this in your name, and I said that in your name. So you're looking at people that have drove church buses and directed choirs and been Sunday school teachers and pastors that just think you're at the gates of glory and you're like, okay, either way. And there's only 2 options, up, down, nothing in the middle. And so Matthew 24 talks about the begin. And when you see these things begin to happen, it's the beginning of sorrows. Can I say, if you pay attention to the news, we're not just simply at the beginning of sorrows. We are pretty much at the end of the beginning. Okay. And see what you don't understand, perhaps, what the one connection where this pandemic, COVID-19, and all the variables and variants and everything that keeps coming. Okay, first you got to get a shot. 2, if it's the one company. Okay, then we want you to get a booster. Now with the new one out, the new variant, is all we got to get a 4th booster. They're going to keep popping these out until you're a pincushion. You're going to have more dots on you than freckles. So, and it still comes down to a personal right. People make choices every day, whether they want to smoke, whether they want to drink, whether they want to do drugs, whether they want to have cancer treatments, whether they want to text and drive. People are making all these decisions and no one says anything about it. But when it comes to my choice, my freedom, that's totally different, which is shameful. Have you noticed throughout this COVID-19, and which began in 220 in the January, February, March, I think was when it really started to snowball. How quickly people, just because of what the media tells them over and over and over, a lot of paranoid propaganda, fear-mongering, yet the doctors and the scientists and those that have said, wait, this is not right. There were disputes going on within CDC and the World Health Organization. We've been issued a vaccine that was never tried or tested or proven. This is experimental, seriously. We'll figure it out as we go along. But here's the thing. Notice how quickly some people, a lot of people, I guess, maybe, agreed to the mask. How quickly people lined up with the I don't want to say the beast because then that's implying something, but how quickly people complied with that submissively. And it's now you got to get a booster. No, now you've got to get another booster. And how people how quickly, because it does tell us in Revelation, without that mark, which is on the hand or forehead, um, no buying, no selling. So automatically survival for the ones still here that missed it. It's going to be based on, do you, because the Bible tells us in Revelation plainly, if you don't worship the mark of the beast and follow after him, and without that mark, is it going to be the chip? I don't know how they're going to do that. See, when John, I thought about this last night too, when John said, on the forehead or on the hand, where do they put that chip out on people? In the right hand, where it talks about in the Bible. So maybe there wasn't an actual number, but maybe someone was holding out their hand, and the vision he saw, chip. I don't know. Those things are kind of interesting to sometimes talk about and debate. But when people say for certain this, that, or the other, and it doesn't clearly say this, that, or the other, sometimes it's left best alone, and God's got it worked out and figured out and planned out. But because I used to think all the time, when I first started hearing about it in the 70s and everything, at church then, wow, it's like, how are people just going to one day, oh, there's that Antichrist guy, the beast, and we're just going to get the stamp, ting, 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 or whatever, and we're just going to go along with that. We're just going to submit to that and comply with that. Well, the non-church world, which I don't want to imply everybody in church is Christian or saved or born again, because they're not. Pulpit to pew, they're not. It's just. And I've always thought about that. Well, seriously, people are just going to say, "Oh yeah, stamp me." Well, of course, I guess if it has to do with I can't go to work, I can't travel, I can't go to the restaurants, This sound familiar in the news today? I can't pay my bills because I don't have a job. I can't go to the grocery and buy groceries because I can't sell, because I don't have now, the preview, what we're going through, obviously, plainly, clearly, without a doubt, a lot of, in countries, you have, European, some of them are chipping, others you got to have the card, the passport, the whatever. And yeah, not everybody can. Here's the common sense. Not everybody will have their card on them. They may be perfectly vaccinated twice, 3, 4 boosters, and what's an easier way? Well, here, tink, thank you, goodbye. And now we're seeing with cell phones, of course, you can just go through the checkout and get your gasoline, get your groceries, and just there you go. And I always wonder, how are people just going to be so submissive and so compliant? We're seeing it now. So much pressure from the government based on a lot of fear, falsehoods in a lot of cases, propaganda, and the media is just, there was this game I remember a long time ago when I was a kid, about you pile it on. Someone gets the football and he said, pile on. And then everybody starts jumping on the poor, if you're the one on the bottom with the football, you're thinking, I'm never doing this again. So that's what you see the media doing, piling on. Okay, piling on. So, yeah, what's going on now? We're not in Revelation now. We're right there at the door, knock, 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 within a short time. And if you even want to connect what's going on, over in the Middle East with what Russia's doing, and what China's doing, and some of these military things, go check out Ezekiel 38 and 39, really. But none of this is, if you read it and you know what's there, it's not taking you by surprise. If you haven't and you're not someplace where they're preaching and teaching it, it's like, what is going on? So you're just going to guess. I've heard about Armageddon. I've heard about the 666. And then people are just connecting dots that don't connect. Instead of 1 + 1 = 2, they're coming up with, 2 + 2 equals some odd number. And that just produces more fear and misinformation And especially when you see those things on YouTube or Facebook. And my thoughts is like, people, come on, get back to the Bible, read it. It's good to do the King James, but if you want a parallel Bible, a second Bible to read along with it, that's okay. That's okay. Understanding. I could probably mention quite a few people that I like to watch. There's only not. It's not like there's 20, 30, but there's certain ones I know that come from the Bible. That it's from the Word. They're not going to share thoughts, feelings, and opinions. Well, here's what I think. I don't care. Here's what the Bible says, and they give you the biblical connecting points, which they are there. The news, how it connects, the reality of it, and you're like, wow. But if you know it, if you've read it, if you've studied it, you can see it clearly and realize we're not, you know, in the book of Revelation, but we're there. And when you see every day in the news, they're trying to get more people to comply, more people to submit. We've got to find out a better way to make sure people can verify that they've been vaccinated. And then they're coming up with more regulations in different cities and states and countries. They're putting and this new variant is not even a life risk from all of it. It's like, so if you can't die from this, then why is it a problem? But they still want more and more control. Okay, and that's where the Antichrist, the beast, as he's called, comes in. Control, domination, one world government. That's what they're aiming for. And you see it in the news. It doesn't take much news. It doesn't take much in the news for you to investigate what's there. Okay, and what's going on. Bing search, Google search, you can find it. And if you can just turn on the evening news and say, oh, because once you start to read that book and then you see what's on the news, you're going to say, oh, it's going to be crystal clear. Then you may be a little bit more at ease if you're truly ready. A lot of people assume, what's that old song? Not everybody talking about heaven is going there. Well, there's a reality and the truth to that. But we're not in that end time. There's the 7 years, the tribulation period it talks about. We're going there rapidly, and it seems like there are those that want to jettison us there as quickly as they possibly can. So I would say read up. Yeah, read up, look up, pray up for one. But and then narrow down if you go to church, go ask your pastor, hey, are you ever going to preach about Revelation and all that? See what his response is. And if it's a little bit worldly and secular and it's not to worry about and blah, 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 that's a good time to maybe change churches, seriously. Just saying, if the pastor doesn't want to preach the Bible as is and what it says, the basics, then I wonder if it should even say church that's not judgmental. That's not being condemning. I'm just saying from the heart. And I'm trying to convey all this in I guess, an easygoing manner, not from a high-sounding pulpit with thundering, it's like, no, because it's really a troubling subject, concerning subject to a lot of people, and I understand that because so much misinformation. People don't know because they haven't read it, they haven't been taught it hasn't been preached, and they're just grasping at straws. They've heard bits and pieces here, and they throw it together, and they think they've got a wonderful pie, but they don't. So, but I guess the simple thing is, yeah, we are in Matthew 24, the beginning of sorrows, but we are at the end of that beginning. And the more and more the news verifies, that's the fun part, man. It's the news daily is proving the Bible. The Bible proves the Bible, but the news proves the Bible. It's like, okay, we can deal with this, but that's just kind of my way to approach it I guess not with kid gloves and from a distance, but just honestly from the heart, relax. Like I said, look up, pray up, get ready. But we're not quite there yet.